Let's do one question on sentence correction now. Let's do this one. And again, I'm going to give you a minute and a half or two for this. Let's begin once you have the answer. Awesome. Let's begin. So this is not a very difficult question, honestly. It's just about keeping in mind that one of the most frequently tested concepts is parallelism on the exam. And you have to understand that there are certain components of parallelism which don't really sound right to us, right? We don't typically use them in our day-to-day conversational colloquial language. When we're conversing with one another, there's certain rules we obviously, I haven't really seen people using that and that parallelism in their colloquial language, but that's a formal grammar rule. It's not a preference. It's not just something that you have to use because it makes the sentence look good. It's actually a proper grammar rule. So it says, however much United States voters may agree that there's waste in government and that the government as a whole spends beyond its means, it's difficult to find broad support for a movement toward a minimal state. Now, when you say and that over here, understand this that is not optional. This has to compulsorily be used. And you find there are only two options that have that and that in them. Those are A and E. B, C, and D, you can quickly and promptly eliminate them given that there is no that at the end of them. So A and E are the only ones you'll be left with. Now, within A and E, between A and E, you can understand that the two parts of the sentence, there are two parts to the sentence, right? The first part is until the word means, and the second part starts with the word it's and goes on until minimal state. So there are two parts to the sentence, and these two parts are not complementing each other, but contrasting each other. The first half is talking about support. Second is talking about, first is talking about agreement. Second is talking about support. And these two things are not absolutely correct. So they're not complementary, right? So you have to make sure that you're able to figure out a way with which you can express that contradiction in the right manner. So you find the word however is a contrast word, despite is a contrast word, although is a contrast word, even though is a contrast word, but in E, there is no contrast word. And if you don't have any contrast word, then the literal meaning of the sentence is going to be that because there is agreement among United States voters, therefore it's difficult to find broad support. And that makes no sense, right? These two activities are not complementary, right? If there would have been a lot of agreement, then it should have been easier to find broad support, not more difficult to find broad support. So option E is actually completely illogical in terms of meaning. It makes it seem because there is agreement, it is difficult to find broad support, and that makes no sense. Right? Now, a lot of people actually eliminate option A thinking that, the word much can't refer to voters, given that voters are countable. But please understand the word much here is not referring to voters. Much is actually referring to the intensity of agreement. Consider this. If I say, no matter how much you agree, right? Consider this. If I say, no matter how much you agree, in this case, the word much is not going back to you, it's going back to the intensity of agreement. Similarly, when you say, however much United States voters may agree, understand the word much is not referring to voters, but to the intensity of agreement, right? So a lot of people are actually end up eliminating option A thinking that how can the word much go back to voters? But that's actually not the case. It's not even going back to voters, it's going back to may agree. Voters are countable, and if you want to qualify voters using a qualifier, you would have used many, not much, right? So exactly. So Ayush, that's also a good point, right? There is error in comma, so this will become a run-on sentence, right? This will become a run-on sentence because here there'll be two independent clauses. If you were to plug option E back in, there'll be two independent clauses, and you don't join two independent clauses with just a comma. So that's a run-on sentence. Absolutely a good spot there. That's a good one. And also there's a change in meaning as well, right? The original question talks about may agree, and this says there is agreement. That also kind of shows that it is extreme, right? Author never intended to say that there is absolute agreement. He said no matter how much you agree, it is difficult to find broad support. So you can see there's a change in meaning between A and E as well. And lastly, understand that a verb form is preferred to a noun form, right? On the GMAT, a verb form is preferred to a noun form. Agree here is a verb form. Agreement here is a noun form. If you could not see any of the other reasons that we have discussed for elimination, I'm sure you wouldn't be able to miss out on this. Agree is a verb form. Agreement is a noun form. And since verb forms are preferred over noun forms, you could have gone for option A. So we've discussed basically 4 good reasons as to why option E is wrong. One, it is illogical. Second, Ayush mentioned this. This is a run-on sentence. Third, we discussed the meaning related issue where we said that there is agreement is extreme, whereas the author is giving away more of a probabilistic tone here. And the last one, that a verb form is preferred over a noun form. So you've got these 4 good reasons to understand why option E is wrong. And frankly, like the more you dig deep into the details of the answer choice and figure out as many possible reasons as you can for elimination, the better off you will be. It's not about solving 10,000 sentence correction questions to get good at it. You take up 100, but exhaust all possible reasons that you can find to eliminate the wrong answers. All possible reasons, not just one. And you'll find that your eyes will get trained to be able to spot these errors a lot more quicker. And you'll find that your average time per question will go down and accuracy will increase. And you wouldn't have to invest as much effort as people invest in practicing about whatever, 1,000, 1,500 questions in SC. Not required, right? So